Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Justin with Yorba Wines. And today we're having Barbera. I'm gonna make pasta. Today I'm gonna make sausage. And today I'm gonna make a pasta sauce. So for our pasta, we're gonna do gnocchi. Our sausage is going to be an Italian sausage, heavy on the Parmesan. And our tomato sauce is the simplest tomato sauce you ever seen, and you probably didn't need to watch the video to know how to make it. But I need some wine. Okay. So this is a 2012 Barbera from Yorba. I'm running on a 45-minute nap. I woke up at 1 a.m. today, but we're good. Barbera, classic Italian varietal. That's why we're gonna go with these tomatoes, flavors, sausage with that little fat, but not too much, and then pasta is just a given. 2012 Barbera, for me, this one's gonna be a little more savory. Not as bright as some of the other ones, so just stick my honker in there. This one I think is more old world than the rest. This one's going to be darker purple and red fruits, and then a little more of that tar and leather flavor. Yeah, that one's gonna be best with the sausage. Okay, I think first we're gonna have to start with our gnocchi. And so for our gnocchi, we have potatoes and flour. Simple as can be. So for our gnocchi, we're going with a home style preparation. This is not a restaurant, nice fancy little grooves. This is gonna be more of a rustic. We have 2 ingredients and we're gonna add a little salt later. So these are Yukon Gold potatoes. They're boiling potatoes. These are not russets, they're not made for roasting, these are boiling potatoes, and these are gonna be best for our gnocchi preparation. So simply we're going to boil our potatoes. Luckily, kitchen magic, we have some happening back here. And we're gonna boil them until they're fork tender. We'll just be able to check them, and so as soon as we want, we'll be able to use these suckers. Those are ready to go. So when you're choosing your potatoes, it's best to choose potatoes that are all about the same size, so we have consistent cooking times. If we add this big guy in, inconsistent cooking times. These will all be done. It'll be waiting on Fat Daddy to get back to it. So, consistent potatoes, simple all-purpose flour. Once these potatoes are ready, we'll be able to return, shred them, combine them with the flour, and then form our gnocchi. Okay, we have a very simple tomato sauce today. We're going to focus on gifted tomatoes, all different kinds. I couldn't tell you what they all are. From the last 2 weeks, we've been gifted a lot of tomatoes. So we're going to take 2 pounds of these tomatoes. We're going to do a quick blanch in a short pan with the lid on, just to get us a little steam, and then we'll use a food mill to process and puree the tomatoes. They will then be simmered with a little bit of onion and butter. That's it. It's a simple sauce. It's not super concentrated. We're not adding a lot of heavy flavors like carrots, celery, and garlic. This is pure and simple, focusing on fresh, seasonal, summertime tomatoes. Home cooks know this trick, but simplest thing. Don't let your cutting board slide around if you're going to be doing a lot of work on it. We can use a can. The recipe calls for 2 pounds of tomatoes or a 28-ounce can of organic peeled tomatoes ready to go. You can use this if you want. We have tomatoes. They're breaking. They're going to go bad if we let them sit around. So we're going to use summertime fresh tomatoes, and I don't need this. We're going to find 2 pounds. We're going to find 2 pounds of tomatoes that are all about the same size. little mixed tomatoes. All right, just over 2 pounds. Perfect. Okay, simple. All we're gonna do is cut all these in half. This is my favorite knife in my kitchen. It's a short little knife. It's called a paring knife. There's probably some other names for it, but I love it because it's so light in my hand. It's a soft metal, stays super sharp, and I use it for everything. There's no need for a big old knife in the kitchen all the time. So we cut tomatoes in half. Think about what's going to happen with these. As we do a quick 10-minute dry blanch, I'm not going to blanch in water. The skin is going to become loose on tomato, which is going to allow it to come out a little easier when we're ready for food meal. I'm trying to use them all the same size. Larger ones are cutting quarters, smaller ones are cutting in half. And then if I have any large stems, I'm going to take those off. I don't need those. I don't have those. Okay. Tomatoes, check. Tomatoes here. Nothing else is going in the pan. If I add salt right now, we're going to lose all the liquid in the pan. Right now, it's a quick dry blanch. We're just trying to loosen things up. We're going to simmer this afterwards. So, I'm going to heat this up. I'm going to pop a lid on it. In 10 minutes or so, we're going to return back to this and we're going to process these tomatoes. It's 2013 Barbera. On the nose, it's a little more barnyard, which is like, I really like that, like barnyard. I grew up in Lodi, and I drive home on Harney Lane, and we would always wake up, whether I was in the passenger, hopefully I wasn't driving and waking up. We'd always wake up when we passed the dairies. We'd had to pass 3 dairies within the mile of getting home, and we'd always wake up, and that's how I knew I was almost home. So the barnyard does not throw me off at all. The barnyard just brings me closer and like to a childhood, and I really, really enjoy that flavor anytime I find it in a wine. 2012 was going to be darker black fruits. This is going to be a little brighter red fruit. A little more herbaceous, a little lighter and funner. I might have thought Barbera for me. I always think about women in Barbera. It's just, that image that comes to mind is a woman. And then the vintage will clarify more of that picture. So I think about a little bit of older gal. I think Barbera is going to be that sultry, silky, defined woman. This is going to be a funner, little younger lady on the 2013. I think this one's going to be my choice. Fresh sausage. Okay, so when we think about sausage, we can go breakfast sausage, which is more of a fresh, uncased sausage, or we can go something that's stuffed. I think for a home application, we're going to be more in the fresh sausage realm. So I have 5 pounds of ground pork. This is not seasoned sausage, this is just ground pork, which at home makes a good base for any fresh sausage. And so you might think 5 pounds is a little excessive for what you need, but if you're gonna make sausage, always make more than you need today, because you're gonna put it in the freezer, and next time you think about sausage, it's gonna be sitting in there waiting for you. So what we have going on, 5 pounds of ground pork. We have grated Parmesan. This is about a cup and a half of grated Parmesan. And we're going to be thinking about meatballs, little small ones, as we bring our whole dish together. And so this is going to act as, it's going to add some salt to the dish. It's also going to hold some moisture. So we have Parmesan. Okay, oregano, a classic. We're going to add this in. Recipe calls for about a teaspoon. Give or take a teaspoon. We also need a little bit of garlic. And so our recipe calls for about a tablespoon of garlic. About a tablespoon of garlic. Make up your mind about how much you want to use of everything. You don't have to be super specific. And so I'm going to start off by a rough chop. You don't need those little presses. I hate those little presses. I hate excess tools. It's so much unnecessary. And so I'm going to break this all down. So you add a little bit of salt. Add a little bit of salt, and what that does when I start to crush this, it's going to act as abrasive, and it's going to help me break all this down. You said just like that, that's just my garlic, that's not so cool. We're going to go here. There we go. Now we got a paste starting to form is what we really want. What we're trying to avoid is those big chunks of garlic. Nice. I don't care if everything's not a paste, but I don't want a distracting piece of garlic in my sausage. I want this flavors, all the essential oils to be released. And I just about did it. That's gonna go up in there. Okay. Super simple. Pork sausage, Parmesan, oregano, garlic, and salt. Lastly, we do need to add a little bit of moisture. It just so happens we have some around here. So, I'm gonna open this. 2014 Barbera. Recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of wine. I got Barbera open. There's no need to add bad red wine or to have cooking red wine stored in the cupboard forever that never gets used that you're not going to drink. Put your good wine in your food. Just drink it and put it in your food. But I would say that the 14 Barbera, I'm going to get the most tomato out of, like roasted tomato paste. When you take a bunch of little cherry tomatoes, you put them on the platter, you put them in the oven, and you cook them at like 350 for about an hour and a half until the whole edge turns black, and you have like this sugary crust of roasted tomato. And that's how I make tomato paste. I take cherry tomatoes. You take larger tomatoes, they're going to be watery, and your tomato paste is going to be like tomato puree, but we want paste. And so what you could do with that, who doesn't have excess cherry tomatoes when you're growing a cherry tomato plant outside? Very easy. And then you take that tomato paste, freezer, tomato paste all year long. Use your freezer. Don't underutilize your freezer. Just like with all the sausage. We're going to put it in the freezer. Return to it when we want. Barbera. Sausage. Wine is going to add a little moisture. Pork is known for having a good fat content. Pork is my favorite protein to work with because it is so versatile. It has fat. I want chicken sometimes a little lean when you braise it. Beef is very, very strong flavor. So, sausage, I think, is one of the best things to play with because how much flavor you can add and how many different things you can make with ground pork. Breakfast sausage, Italian sausage, andouille sausage. We got bratwurst. We got kielbasa. We got linguiça. My wife loves the I don't know what she likes. Oh well. She likes this, so. Okay, I'm well incorporated. So, this is going to hang out for just a few minutes. If you're making this at home, if you wanted to put it into a casing, you're probably going to want this, let it set 4 hours overnight. When you get back to it, all the flavors are going to blend. In our application, we're going to be going for little small meatballs that are going to cook really fast and that are going to be about the same size as our gnocchi. So once this gets to know each other, we'll return to it and form our small little meatballs that we're going to saute off, put a little color on before we toss with pasta later on. Okay, so we're going to return to our potatoes here. They are fork tender, not overcooked, but they are cooked well. Take our potatoes, straighten them. Okay, there we go. And so, slightly overcooked, that's okay. So, when we're making gnocchi, we have a couple options. We could run these potatoes through a food mill if this food mill worked well with potatoes, but I tried recently and it doesn't. So instead, once they cool down a little bit, we're gonna use this cheese grater and grate the potatoes before we combine that with flour. But for now, they're a little hot to handle. We're gonna take our 1.5 pound potatoes and we're gonna put them in the fridge so they cool down just a little bit. They don't need to be perfect and cold, but just a little bit.